Hey, it's Ree G coming in from her cluttered kitchen. And I know it's been a while since there's been a Tip Tuesday. And I haven't been filming any new videos lately. So, hello. I thought that for Tip Tuesday this week, or I should say this month, because who knows if there'll be another one this month. I thought I would talk coffee house recipes. I know all of our coffee houses and Starbucks have closed because of the coronavirus, and we're all, for those who love it, are all suffering without their normal time spent at Starbucks waiting online, sitting there and playing on our computers and whatever and hanging out and drinking our coffee. And so I thought that I would show you 4 very easy ways of kind of replicating certain things from Starbucks and other coffee places, also following some of the coffee trends, all very easily done at home with very easy to find ingredients, even in supermarkets these days where certain things aren't easy to find. But if you have a bucket, you have possibly some cheesecloth, you've got a blender or a handy dandy hand blender, you can make cold foam, you can make Dragona, which is whipped coffee, and if you have a cocktail shaker, you can make something that replicates a double shot from Starbucks. So here we go, Tip Tuesday, Coffee House edition. Okay, so years and years and years ago, in 2012, Ree Drummond came out with this book, and the first recipe in it is perfect iced coffee. And basically what she did, because she lived on a cattle ranch in the middle of nowhere, is that she used to take a big bucket, fill it with a pound of coffee, fill it with water, and overnight it would infuse, and then the next day she would strain it out and repackage it and make coffee concentrate, which is basically cold brew. And I've been doing it ever since this book came out. So then about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years after that, at ShopRite, I found what was considered a cold brew pot. Now, I had seen online that OXO made one. I don't know if they still do. I should investigate that. But I didn't want to spend the money for it. It was like $50 or something on Amazon, which I thought was an outrageous price for a little bit of glass. And so I happened to be at ShopRite. They were having a big K-Cup sale, and I found this pot for $10. It was one of the best deals I've ever gotten in my life. Basically, it's a glass pot with a sieve in it, and the sieve holds the coffee grinds, and then you pour water through, cover it, put it aside for a day, and then afterwards, the day later, you pull this out, let it drain, and then you have cold brew. Okay, so I thought I'd show you how easy it is to do, how to make cold brew. Okay, so here's my pot, all right, and it holds 48 ounces of liquid. Now you're supposed to use coarsely ground coffee. All right, I cannot get coffee beans lately. I only see ground coffee in the stores. I've tried 2 or 3 different stores. I've tried Aldi, I've tried my own ShopRite, and I've tried Walmart. Everybody just sells ground coffee, which is too fine for this. All right, well, I'm going to use it right now, but really you need regular coffee beans, and then you take a grinder, all right, and you pulse it 2 or 3 times, and you get coarsely ground coffee, and you put the coffee into the sieve. And then the original directions said just to put a little bit over the top, let it get wet, okay? All right, you doing it? All right. And then you just keep pouring it through, okay? Now I'm using a little bit less because I have, there's on one side of this sieve, because it's like 4 years old now, there's a little hole at the top. And I don't like it to go up above that hole, or else the coffee comes through the sides of the sieve and into the water, and then I have to sieve it again. I have to put this coffee through another sieve so that I don't get any coffee grinds, all right? But you just basically just fill it up and let it go through, and you can see that it comes through to the bottom, okay? You just keep doing it. Now, it takes a lot longer to do when the coffee itself is coarsely ground. So what's taking me about a minute or so would take about 5 minutes or so of constantly filling it and then putting it through, okay? And just keep doing it. Now, I had less than 32 ounces here. I had about 3 cups, so... Right, you just keep doing it until it fills up, okay? Then you let it sit overnight in the refrigerator. And then the next day, I just grab this, I hold it and I let it sit, all right? And I got this, okay? So that's your cold brew, okay? All right, next. I'm going to show you a very quick way of making cold foam. Now, okay, so I've been doing a lot of research on cold foam, and I'm doing a lot of research online on cold foam, because I am totally obsessed with cold foam, as Trevor knows and Steve knows. Because not only does it just sit there on top of the top of the cup, you know, it just sits there. And it doesn't melt, and yet it sweetens your coffee. It's amazing. All right. Anyway, so basically, all right. There's a website called The Kitchen, KITCHN, that I love. I get their emails a couple times a week. And a few months ago, they had a blog about cold foam, how to make your own. Now, they use half and half, condensed milk, okay, and a little bit of vanilla, all right? A little bit of vanilla. Doesn't matter what brand it is. It could be the good stuff. It could be Kirkland, Costco, whatever. Doesn't matter, okay? You take... All right. Now, she said to take, I guess, put it in a bowl. But I do it in a high-powered blender, okay? Make sure that the gasket is nice and tight, okay? All right. Mine... I've been having a problem with the gasket. I think I need to get a new gasket for mine. But you put in about 2 cups of half and half, okay? Then you take a 1/4 cup, which I think is about a half of whatever's left here, okay, of condensed milk, and a little shot of vanilla, okay, and start blending it. All right, I start on low, and I inch it up to about number 5 or number 6. Whatever. I do it for about a minute. I'm not going to do it now for a minute. Okay. But what happens is that you get a big jar of. Now, if you whiz it long enough and you aerate it long enough, if you don't have one of these, obviously you can use a bowl and a hand blender. Do it for about a minute or two. And it becomes, you see it's kind of foamy, all right? But if you do it more, you do it enough, it becomes very thick. Actually, I find even better if you refrigerate this for a day or two and then re-blend it. It becomes nice and thick, all right? And then when you make your iced coffee and you put it on top, I don't know where, all right, well, let's say I have some coffee, right? If I shake, even if you shake it up a little bit, all right? You shake it up a little bit. Okay, and then now obviously this isn't going to stay on top for very long because it's thinner than my last batch, but as you can see, it gets kind of, you can see there's a little layer on top. Okay, and if you can refrigerate it for a few days. I wouldn't go more than about a week because it won't do it for more than a week. It gets kind of funky after about a week. Okay? All right, third. Okay. And if you've been following anything on the internet, you've been seeing that people have been making something called Dragona or whipped coffee. Okay? Now, it's a great use of freeze-dried coffee. All right, and it's a great way of making yourself a drink, freeze-dried coffee. Okay, well, your first thing you have to do is have a couple of tablespoons of hot water. All right, so put that in 20 seconds. It's a couple of tablespoons. It's 2 tablespoons of hot water with 2 tablespoons of the coffee. And I followed the recipe from the New York Times, and they used a half a teaspoon. I'm using about a teaspoon of sugar. Steve likes it without sugar. You don't care. All right, but I've been doing it in the I have been doing this in the Vitamix with some success. What it becomes like, it goes from foamy and then it thickens up. And it gets really frothy and light and whipped. Okay? All right? Now, so you do 2 tablespoons of water. This is a little more than 2 tablespoons, but that's a little more than 2 tablespoons of the coffee. Okay? And, all right, you put that together and then you start blending. All right? And then it's starting to get, you see it's getting a little frothy. Actually, I shouldn't have done it in this bowl. Let's get the other bowl. I was doing it in this bowl all week long. I don't know why I decided to put it in that bowl. Because that bowl is very noisy, isn't it? Yes, it is. Alright, let me put it into this one because it's easier, lighter, and it works better. Okay. Alright. Alright. See, it's kind of foamy. Alright, now as you keep going, it's going to get frothier and frothier and thicker. It takes about 2 minutes. Alton Brown, in his Pantry Raid video, showed it took him 4 minutes. I timed it yesterday. I put on the timer and I just did it for 2 minutes. And it was very thick and very foamy. So, I think 2 is the best. But if you want to do it a little longer, it probably won't be that bad. Just stop it. Alright. We don't have much time to go, but look at this. Look how thick that got. It's 2 minutes. Beep, 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 beep. All right, 2 minutes. 2 minutes, all right? Some recipes say to put it over ice. Some people say just to put it over just plain old milk. All right, I'm going to put it over icy milk because that's what I've been doing lately. Okay. I like using my little ladle. It works the best. Okay. And then you just spoon it over top. Okay. Look how foamy. All right, and then you let it kind of like sink in, because what it does is it sinks in, because it's heavy, it sinks into the coffee. I mean, look at that. This is fabulous, all right? This is one of the easiest things you can do, and really, all right, you can use Maxwell House, that's what this is. You can use, I've been using Medaglia d'Oro Espresso, okay? Alton Brown was using Cafe Bustelo. I recognize that label anywhere, all right? You can use whatever you like, okay? I find that I don't really like the scent of Maxwell House for this. This smells more like espresso. Okay, there you go. Whipped coffee, people. Whipped coffee. All right, and then my last one. All right, my last genius coffee house thing. All right, and this. Okay, let me get some ice. Okay, all right. So if you've got a shaker, a cocktail shaker, but even if you don't have a cocktail shaker, if you have one of those insulated coffee cups, right, you just make sure you hold like some paper towel or something over the cap and you shake it, okay? All right, so you make yourself a double espresso, okay? Now this one isn't that hot right now, but all right, you put it in your shaker, you put in your ice, you put in a little bit of milk, okay? You put in your 2 shots of espresso, okay? And then you take your shaker. This one, unfortunately, the seal doesn't really work very well. It's a cheap one. I'll do it over the sink. So you just shake it for like 30 seconds, all right? Let's say, all right, let's say that's it. All right, now you can either pour it through the sieve if you don't want the ice cubes, okay? Or you can put your ice cubes in. It doesn't really matter, okay? But there you go. It's a Shakerado, which, well, anyway, Giada de Laurentiis calls it a Shakerado. I guess that's an Italian thing in Italy, is a Shakerado. I call it my own version of a Starbucks double shot, because basically that's what they're doing, okay? They're putting it in a shaker, they're putting ice, and they, if you watch them, they put ice, they put, what is it, like 3 shots, 2 or 3 shots of espresso. Then they add in, if you want, the classic is with syrup, right? But we ask for no classic, which is unsweetened, all right? And I think that they put in 2% milk. And then they shake it up like that. And this is basically what you get, all right? Now, that's 2 shots, but of course, I'm not using as much milk as they do, because if you pour it out into an, if you look at it in the cup, it's fairly milky, right? When you get it, it's like fairly milky. It's like, looks like milk. It looks like coffee milk, really. And it's really just nice coffee that was shaken. And that's what a Shakerado is. So, there you go, Shakerado. Delicious. Strong, very strong. because I didn't put any sweetener in that one. All right, so I'm going to make Trevor a Dragona, and I'm going to make your father a Dragona. Okay. We don't have enough glasses. Really, this is ridiculous. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna make Steve-O a Dragona. Okay. There's a little bit left for you to have a Dragona. All right, so we're gonna bring that one up to Daddy. This. All right, and then I'll give you the last of it, although it's not as frothy. If you wait even 5 minutes, the froth kind of dies down. Anyway, there's one for you. And let's see if we can. All right. Okay. Back to our social distancing. One person behind the camera, me 4 or 5 feet away. All right. And let's hope that our coffee houses open soon, even if they only let 3 people in at a time, and we all have to stand 6 feet apart online, okay, and we have to wear our masks until we get into our cars or get home. All right, and I hope that everybody is healthy and sheltering in place if they need to. We unfortunately are essential workers. Trevor at an old age home, and myself at ShopRite. So we have not been sheltering in place as much as we should, but on our days off we have. Today we did. The only thing we did was take the dogs for a walk in the neighborhood. And so we unfortunately only do that on our days off. And 1 day a week I've been going for like major shopping with my mask on and following the rules and social distancing and all that. And so far, after 2 months of this, we are still healthy and in our house. So I just hope that everybody else is following the rules, whether they like it or not, so that we all stay healthy through this disgusting pandemic. And if we have to make our own Starbucks, we will. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed my coffee shop edition of Tip Tuesday. Of course, like the video and share the video, subscribe and press that little bell, and come back again, Teresa's Cluttered Kitchen, for more recipes and fun. Bye.